Why is it that even though we have had door locks for years, burglars still steal? Why is it that even though we have bank card PINs, fraud still happens? Why is it that even though laws exist, violations still exist? If your instinctive answer is because people find ways around them, then you are already at the very heart of security principles. In their simplest and deepest definition, security principles are not about tools. They are about mindset. They are about understanding what security actually means and what you are trying to protect before you buy a firewall, before you define a password, before you install antivirus software. Security does not start with technology, law, or fear. Security starts with a mental model. Now, let's look at the word security itself. Literally, it means a feeling of safety, freedom from danger. It means your mind is at ease knowing that something valuable to you is not under threat. But conceptually, in the IT world, security means risk management, not the complete elimination of danger. This is critical. Security is never binary. No system is 100% secure. Security means understanding what has value, what threatens it, and how much you are willing to pay to reduce that risk. This is where the first common mental mistake appears. Many people think security means stronger locks. In reality, security means balance. Like a house where you install 10 locks on the door, but every entry and exit takes 30 minutes, life becomes practically unusable. One of the most fundamental security principles is maintaining a balance between security and usability. Push security too far, and usability collapses. Push usability without limits, and security becomes the sacrifice. Security principles exist precisely to manage this tension. Another key principle is that security is always context-driven. There is no absolute security. Security for what, for whom, and under what conditions? A patient's medical records, bank card data, personal photos on a phone, or logs from an enterprise server do not all have the same value. The first real security rule is do not protect everything equally, because it is both impossible and irrational. This is where classification naturally enters the picture without memorizing the term. A security mindset asks what happens if this data is leaked. What if it is modified, and what if it becomes unavailable? Security principles teach you that security is a process, not a product. Buying a tool does not finish the job. It is like physical health. You do not become healthy by taking a single pill. You become healthy through lifestyle. Security stays alive through policy, training, process, monitoring, and review. That is why people say security is a journey, not a destination. This phrase is not a cliche if you understand the mechanism behind it. Threats change, technology changes, and human behavior changes, so security must remain dynamic. One of the most underestimated human principles of security is that humans are the weakest link in the chain. Not as an insult, but as reality. People get tired, rush, get fooled, trust, and make mistakes. Security principles should not fight humans. They should work with humans. Security design must account for human error instead of assuming everyone always behaves correctly. Another critical principle is defense in depth. This means layered security, not building one extremely tall wall. If that wall collapses, everything is lost. But with multiple layers, even if one fails, the others buy time. Time for detection, response, and containment. This principle is exactly like seatbelts, airbags, ABS brakes, and traffic laws working together. None of them is sufficient alone, but together they reduce the likelihood of disaster. A subtle but important point is that security always has a cost. Financial cost, time cost, and mental cost. Security principles help you choose these costs consciously, not blindly. Good security reduces risk to an acceptable level. It does not sell the illusion of perfect security. Whenever someone promises total security, you can be sure they have already stepped away from security principles. If I were to conceptually summarize this section, security principles mean mindset before tools. They mean seeing security as a living, human, balanced, and context-dependent system. Once this mental model is in place, concepts like the CIA triad, AAA, and others are no longer memorized terms, but naturally and logically fit into this framework. This is where security stops being a collection of dry terms and becomes an understanding you can actually feel in everyday life.